This will be 40.
40.
Yeah. All right, so that one's up. That's good. YouTube's up. Perfect. We're gonna go live. Gonna give it a second here. All right, we're good to go. Welcome back to Judging Bouncing Balls. Toby is joining us along with guest Sam Hunt today. So, Toby, how are you? And then over to Sam.
Doing
We're
well.
good. We're good. We had a long weekend, but a little soccer today. But I reached out to a friend, Sam, I think a week and a half ago, and thought he would be a heck of a guest. Um, Got to slow the questions down a little bit for him, but I think in time he'll catch on,
All
and
right.
he'll explain. I think that what Sam brings today is his son just graduated from high school and didn't choose the college path, chose the hockey path, which is a whole different avenue. We talked wrestling a couple weeks ago, and we still don't understand that. But
Huh.
we're hoping Sam can bring some light to the hockey path of where Henry is and what's the goal of his now that he is out of the nest. So, Sam, how are you?
Wonderful. No, yeah, it's a bananas thing. I never played hockey. It was not an option. He played at the local rink that was built the year I graduated high school, and so when he was 5, we got him in there, and something to do in the winter, and they had free pads and they had all these like ways to teach him how to skate, and it just snowballed into this counterculture with people and travel and quite an experience. And he became very good. And at the younger level, they passed the bag around because nobody wants to be the goalie because the goalie's just getting peppered. And at some point, he's like, "I like goalie," and I'm like, "You're pretty crazy," And so he chose the goalie path, and he has thrived in that role. Halfway through his freshman year, the Cedarburg starting goalie kind of got into it with the coach and ended up getting booted off the team. And Henry became the starting goalie his freshman year and held that position all the way through. And he is now playing for the Wisconsin River Kings and Wisconsin Rapids. So he billets with a family up there. He lives up there. They went to Northern Illinois for a preseason thing. They've been to Minnesota a bunch of times. They're heading to New Jersey here shortly. And he'll be there until March. The side story on all this is that the process to get him into this was a lot. We developed this whole like process where it was almost like applying for college, where you're sending out your resume and it's his stats with his pictures, with his videos, to all coaches and coaches and coaches. We actually had a guy who was a hockey advocate that we met with and paid him some money to kind of hear about what to look for, what not to look for. None of us had done that before. It's a huge money racket. Like you can just totally throw money in a hole. And hockey gear is
In
ridiculous.
youth sports, a money racket? No. Tell me more.
Right.
Let's go. Hey, before we get down that road, let's go back because people think we're crazy on the soccer level, right? We were in Detroit last week. We were in Milwaukee. It's kind of a home game for us, but I've heard hockey is the creme de la creme of money pits. So when you're in, so there's high school sports. We'll talk about that a little bit. But club hockey,
So it's part of the high
how
school,
like
but yeah, the youth level, you're paying for ice time, the travel, the hotels. Um, the gear is ridiculous. His last pads, like goalie pads, were $2,800. Like that was more than my first car. You know, yeah, sticks are $100.
Wow.
Those are breaking nightly. The helmet. He did the cool thing with his helmet. He got it all, pimped out with decorations, and he honored. We lost my cousin Sophie to a rare cancer in 2013, and her symbol was the Superman symbol, and he put that on the side of his helmet. And then he did the bones because his nickname is Bones, and he's got a skull and crossbones here with like the tick marks, and it was pretty cool. He did that with his own money, and it was kind of a cool thing. But he had the money. He just got like $800 skates, and you're just gone.
Wow.
And then ice time. Even through the high school, I think we paid $1,800 for just having your kid on the ice through the high
Hmm.
school. So
when we meet as a soccer club, we talk about fees and where we're at. And we're always concerned with as we raise rates, compared to we're not Milwaukee or Madison, but one thing we never talk about is other sports, and I don't even know if you could bring up hockey to say, hey, hockey's
It's
$7,000 to get in by the time you buy everything.
And then if you get a kid that's decent and they start making these travel teams and you're going to like Canada, you're going to Nova Scotia, you go to Minnesota a ton. Wisconsin's a hotbed, obviously. Michigan's got big hockey. All the northern states and even the southern states now. But you get up into UMass, you get up into Minnesota, you get up into all kinds of Michigan stuff, the UP. We've been a lot of places for. He was actually, side story, he blew his knee out. Playing lacrosse as his filler sport before he left for hockey, which was a terrifying thing for us. We didn't know if the coach was going to retain him, and the coach did. So he's actually on IR working through all that. But he was supposed to go to Colorado to a CCM camp and then to 2 more camps that were $600 each one of them. And then other teams would see his abilities and he would be picked up. There's all different levels. He's in the USPHL, and then you have Tier 3, Tier 2, Tier 1. The 2 and 1 don't pay. He's in Tier 3 right now. The ultimate goal is to get to play college hockey. So the junior hockey programs are set up to feed college hockey. And so if you're good at football or you're good at baseball or you're good at basketball, you're going straight from high school to college. Well, with hockey, you're going to go play junior hockey, and you're going to do that for 2 years. And that's where you cut your teeth and you learn to play the game. And that's where you get noticed. And they move you up and you get picked up by other teams. And the whole idea is that these guys sell the idea that we're going to showcase your kid, and then your kid's going to get moved up and hopefully get picked up to play for the Gophers or get, name a good team out there. There's a ton of them. North Dakota State, Wisconsin's got quite a few.
So when you talk about levels, so like around here we have the Gamblers, Madison's got the Capitals. So what level is that compared to where Henry is?
There's USPHL. The Gamblers are NA3. I believe it's NA3. There's NAL. There's a couple different leagues. And you just ultimately want to be in a Tier 1 team, which I think the Gamblers are Tier 1. And then that's high level. And then from there you get picked up to go to the higher, basically college. And you're hoping to get, a college career out of playing hockey, and then they pay for it.
See, that's the part about that hockey that's really interesting to me, because we had Matt Polkamp on from Stevens Point, and the hard part for him is you want your guys to be really good and develop and be awesome, but as soon as they do, they leave your team and they go to juniors, and then they're not helping you anymore. So it's kind of a hard like, as a hockey coach in high school, you're going to lose your best players if they're really generational. They're gone. They may never even step foot in your ice.
You got to get a pipeline going. You're right. Like that kind of the kid that they just picked up from the Blackhawks, who's super young, and he's the next coming Crosby, Gretzky, whatever. I don't believe he's over 18, or he might be only 18. He's very young, and they play young. And some of these kids, you can just see their skill level with how they handle things, size, speed, accuracy with the puck, and that's that side of it. Shooting out. I got a goalie, so my son's 6'3", sniffing 200 pounds, taking up space, but he's an athlete. He can move. Because you see these kids that are playing goalie, they're like 5'5". They're like, it's not gonna go well.
Pipeline easier for a goalie, or is it still full of people and you still got to be really good?
Yeah, no. They look at the save percentage. So we had a lot of seniors last year, and Henry, we did not have a good record. Henry took the most shots that the Cedarburg High School had been tracking. It's all about stats, right? Most shots ever by a goalie for Cedarburg ever. He was all conference the last 2 years. His save percentage was in the low 90s, which is like fast, because when those kids stop that first 2 or 3, shots, and then they're laying on their belly, you're waiting for the defender to come over and help you. And if your defense isn't there, the kid's on his own on an island. So his abilities as a goalie to stop that initial salvo or the breakaway, that's all you can ask of a goalie. That's what you're looking for. Obviously, shutouts are wonderful. We had some real high points in his career where we had some shutouts, and we had some just, we'll go to a shootout, and then he's in there, I just pop in Lipitor, like try not to die on the sideline, watching your kid, just this most stress ever, because you get your kid as a goalie and you're like just looking down at the ground. But he's a tough kid. He's got that mentality with able to deal with a loss. Like you lost by one, or they got you up top, and to come back and do it again the next day and just be like the consummate optimist. He has a real need to protect. He really wanted to go in the military, but he's got a food allergy, so that's not going to happen. I could see him going in law enforcement, which I would prefer not. But
Can't go in the military with a food allergy.
can't be on
I
Fox.
mean, I'm my 40 time is low, so I'm out.
No, the food allergy thing, no. Yeah, so like you couldn't, be deployed because they can't worry about what they're going to feed you.
Yeah, I suppose.
Oh, if you're going to
I didn't know.
order jelly sandwich and your neck swells up and you can't breathe. Bad. They'll just start shooting peanuts at you. So yeah. No, he's living with a family in Wisconsin Rapids, and there's actually another kid that lives with this family that's from Canada. So I think there's 8 kids from Canada. There's a kid from Hungary. There's a kid from Italy. There's a kid from Norway. I mean, it's the United Nations. He's learning how to swear in all kinds of different languages. It's perfect. And we're just hearing glowing reports from him on the experience. They're very busy. Coach keeps him going. The coach is he's from New Jersey. I mean, you totally think mafia when you meet this guy. He's only like 5'6" and his hair's slicked back, but he's got it together and he's very sharp guy. And he handles those boys with like, not an iron fist, but like they're not getting away with anything, I guess is the best way to put it. So it's they went back to the same place in Minnesota, basically. So they played the Asante Outlaws last weekend, and they played the Blue Ox this weekend, which are generally in the same area. So they come back to Wisconsin Rapids, practice all week, go back up, spend the night in the hotel. And then what they do is they spend Friday night, they play back-to-back games. So they play Friday night against the team, and they play them again on Saturday. But they don't stay in the hotel Saturday night. They get back in the bus, and they get back at like 3 a.m. So it's pushing them hard.
Wow.
So to back it, you gotta slow down, man. You're way ahead of my notes. I mean, if I had notes, no question. So
Yeah.
we all like we. I mean,
He doesn't have
me and
notes.
you. I don't have notes. Let's go back. So, when does your son come to you? Because, right, I mean, our age and our generation, we're designed to go to college. You get to high school, you go to college, and then you get a job, right? So, at what point does your son come to you and be like, "Hey, I think I'm going to bypass college and go play hockey"? And how does that conversation go with you and your wife and your son?
Well, he's not bypassing college. He wants to play college hockey, and the only way to play college
Okay, or just to push it off, I should say. So, yeah.
So as his skill level got better and he started getting some looks and we started hearing, people like he's really good. I'm biased. I'm his dad, of course, whatever. But then we're starting getting people tell us like, he, should try this. And we started investigating it a little bit. Neither one of us knew anything about it. I went traditional. I played football at Concordia. My wife went to U of I. Straight to, from high school to college. That's how you figure those things out. And his path was going to be hockey. And so we started digging into it. And my wife did a ton of research online. She loves to dig all that up and read about. She's on all these blogs on what's good, what's bad. Finding out, there's leagues that are known to be bad and that these guys, it is a money grab. It's $10K, $20K. You're going to send this kid. He's going to build with a family. These coaches take this money and they're supposed to then, showcase your kid and then get him moved up and out and on. And some of these guys don't do that. And you hear, horror stories about they'll take 5 kids in one house and the mom will make one big vat of mac and cheese and here's your dinner. And it's the same thing every night. And you're paying, another on top of your initial fees, you're paying a billet family $300, $400, $500 a month. And that's supposed to be for the food. And then, that's mostly going in their pocket. They're buying ramen noodles and, cheap hot dogs. We're not dealing with that. We have a very good situation. And we had another kid who was going to go to Canada and very bad communication from the coach. Was not communicated well with how the Bill family thing was going to work. traveling in another country, money, how getting back and forth. You got COVID lockdown concerns with that coming around.
Yeah.
So I know there's been huge money moves with leagues that have been bought out because the U.S. has gotten so big with this that, the Canadian running of some of that stuff was poor. So U.S. leagues were buying out Canadian leagues. It can get very convoluted. And then, coaching reputations, you got to read about, Google reviews on who's doing what for your kid because you're basically sending them off, to trusting them with hockey family. So for us, it was a discussion like he didn't have this. I want to be a vet, or I want to be this, or I'm an engineer. I mean, I think he got a 31 on his ACT, which obviously not my genetics. That's mama's genetics.
It's okay. I mean, it's fine. It's not better than an 18.
But I cheated on the same test to get through college, so let's be clear. He's a very sharp kid, so college was an option, like straight away. But he's like, I want to chase this hockey dream. And then he hurt his knee. And I was like, I don't want him to be my age looking back at his life. Like, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have experienced that. Because everything we're hearing is that he's hanging out with these guys and he's really feeling like he's part of a team and that he's kind of doing something it's unique. And it's he's taking the gap year at the front end instead of like going to a 4-year span of things and then like, do I get a master's or do I go to work or do I go to Europe and get arrested in Amsterdam?
How does that work with school?
As far as what?
Like, I assume he's like taking some classes online and then he's going to get his GED, or how does that work?
A lot of that. There is like a tech school up there, and they say get your GERs out of the way, which are your general education requirements. They are so busy, and we heard from a kid who's a sharp 4.0 student that they were so busy that he did this last year and had barely any time and barely passed the class of like a C- because he wasn't able to get papers in because he was doing so much with hockey. And so we considered it and we said, let's see how this goes for the first, couple months, because he could enroll at semester, Jan 1 or whatever, after J term or whatever you call that now. So it'd be, in January, and get some classes in. If he's dealing with a ton of downtime, which he's not. So he's traveling a ton, and they've got them. He's got a little side job up there in the mornings where he works at a golf course and makes a couple bucks. But he's practicing, and part of they have a big community role where they're doing all kinds of community outreach stuff, and they go to the high schools. We went up to they were in the playoffs, and they had 900 people at a hockey game. For us, was like, unless you're going to NHL or going to like the Admirals, which is a big deal, that was a lot of people. And they lower the lights, and they got the dry ice with the smoke, and then these little kids come out with lightsabers lit up and the flags on them, and then they introduce the players, and they're signing autographs after every game. I mean, it's counterculture stuff. They're like little celebrities up there. There's a local restaurant that supports them pretty heavily, and he said they went there for their first like team breakfast, and they went to pay.
Okay.
They went to pay, and some local yokel had paid for 15 guys breakfast. Like, gotta be $200.
Wow.
Just paid the bill. So little stuff like that, like he's just, his ego and his, everything's kind of popping, and we're hoping it makes him a better version of himself. So
Did you so how does the family, like, do they say here's a list of families you can live with, or they're like, here's someone willing?
Right. No, so it's a billet director, and we ended up with this older couple that's in their 60s that has done exchange students before, never hockey.
Because I've seen Criminal Minds before, and
Right.
I gotta be honest, doesn't work out.
We got lucky. They're very nice people. They are watching him. He's got a food allergy. They're trying to feed him. There's rules. Like, there's no girls. There's no after a certain time, like 11 o'clock. You can't have girls back to these people's house, which you'd break that rule.
If you're a celebrity.
Yeah, in windows. And he's got a nice Hyundai Santa Fe with a hatchback. You could go park by the water tower. So
There are submarine races over there. I'm pretty sure.
Little pickle tickle. Come on, baby. Um, it's he's being watched well in our case. I've heard other stories, and there are kids on the team that live in apartments. Some of these kids are returners, and I would think that after he does a year of this, that maybe we would allow that next year where he would live with like it's like 2 or 3 guys in an apartment and
Huh.
fend for themselves. It's like college. But it's hockey. That's all it is. All hockey all day, every day. The smells are fantastic. I mean, with rugby, we didn't have a locker room per se, but if you went into like a football locker room, there was always that funk that you would hit with your face after you walked in about 2 feet. Without
Hockey pads are unbelievable.
Oh, I can't.
Unreal.
Like we would close his bag for the season at points in time, and you'd open that thing up when the season was going to start again, and it was just the most rancid, disgusting, like a wet towel on your face smell that you would have to power wash.
It's like you put a corpse in there. It's horrible.
So bad.
It's bad.
So Sam, Jeremy's daughter is a sophomore. She plays hockey. Now, Jeremy, I don't know if there's any avenue for female hockey to do this, but would this be in Amelia's future?
If she was really serious about it, yeah, I know there are girls like we have one right now for Spash that I wish she would play, and we had one last year. So actually that'd be 2 that are out out east doing very similar thing. I would guess you'd call it juniors, and then she just actually got a full ride offer to Penn State. So I mean, she's paid off for her. But yeah, I mean, it's similar. I don't think it's as common, but it's similar.
Yeah, no, it's
Wow.
a moneymaker. I mean, the equipment is expensive, the ice time is expensive, but then the event it's a big thing. There's people that come out for hockey. Wisconsin and Minnesota and Michigan are all cold weather states, so you get to a month past where we're at right now, and everybody's inside, and it's dark at 4:30, and you're like, "What are we doing tonight? We're gonna go watch hockey," and it is like. I've seen mild mannered mommies that just lose their shit on people and scream and yell, and people get kicked out, fights. I mean, we were at a game, and Toby knows my sister. My sister's a girly girl. She's coming to see her nephew play, and the family was in the crowd watching the game. She's not watching any of the games. She's talking to my wife. She's talking to the kids. She's talking to my mom. Anybody but watching the game. Well, there's a big hit right in front of where we're sitting. Kid goes down on the ice, and it's injury timeout. And my sister's still jimmy jabbing about God knows what, haircuts and Macy underpants. And the mom of the kid that was down was sitting like 10 feet away, and just turns to my sister and is like, just lit her up. Like, what the F, my son's hurt. You've got no sense of it. My sister's shocked that she was not paying attention to the game. It was not because she's like giggling and snickering, like because this isn't happening and this is happening. And I didn't have to intervene. There was no fist thrown, but the snake tongues that can come out at a hockey game are, I mean, it's intense. That's all I can say.
Oh yeah, it is legit.
It's a lot crazier than lacrosse, right? I mean, because nobody knows the rules on lacrosse.
Well, yeah, lacrosse is so confusing, and the girls' game and the boys' game, and where they throw the ball out of bounds. They get it again? It makes no sense,
right?
And we did all the lacrosse stuff. You're in that confined area with hockey, and then you got the glass, and people are pounding on the glass, and the things people think that they can say out loud to referees and coaches and other players, and
yeah.
I mean, over the years, I've just seen some parents that have just lost their effing minds. And then like help walk kids to cars because kids would get targeted because they had a penalty that went sideways and some kid got checked real hard, and then parents took it personal, and they're threatening kids as they're walking off the ice, or kids are in the penalty box and parents are like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," and you're like, really? Like, So there's that dark underbelly of all sports. I know you guys have talked about all kinds of sports, but hockey's got a gleaming, version of that.
That's true.
With Henry being a goalie, so he doesn't get to sit without the box
Ever stuff like that.
I yelled at because I called the AR by his first name. Like, hey, Greg, and he's like, watching the parking lot. And I'm like, maybe I should try that tactic. Like, lose my mind on him.
Start running up.
Down.
I think part of the reason, in my opinion, having gone through some of that hockey gets a little bit more intense is it tends to be a more physical sport. And so then you add in the anxiety and the angst that we see in soccer, but add in a natural physicality in the game. And so then the parents feel like they can get physical too. And because there's that separation, then it instantly turns to whoever's in the stands. It's like you can't get to the fans or the players. So it's like your anger instantly goes to whoever's next to you. But yeah, I've seen the only time I've ever seen a fight between fans has been at a hockey game, and that was between a mom and a dad. So,
we used to in high school they would have the sheriff's department at our games because we play local to Pier or I think it was East of Pier, West of Pier, maybe both Piers. But yeah, the cops would be involved in our games. It was crazy.
yeah.
Great. We lost Sam for a minute. He'll keep trying to log back in.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we lost him, but no, it definitely can get pretty physical in some of those games, and I think the parents get pretty hyped up. The other thing that I think amplifies hockey a little bit more than maybe some other sports is the culture of hockey has a lot of drinking in between periods and during the game. And that tends to amplify a lot of things. Football has a little of that, but hockey really has a culture of like as soon as it's intermission, like, hey, I got to go out to my car for something.
Isn't that the truth though? Do they still? Sam, can you hear us?
No, that would be a no.
In high school, we could go out to our cars. I'm not saying what happened. But you're right. Do they still allow people to go out to their cars?
They do not allow students to leave. If a student leaves, you're gone. You're done. But an adult,
let anybody leave.
I'm just saying. I know that does happen where especially in the club league for high school, we don't let the students come and go. But for parents, they can come and go, and that's often the case. Is you've got stuff sitting in the car, and you are partaking during the game. So. It's a 10-minute intermission. Boom, they bump out. 5 minutes later, they're back in. They're juiced up and ready to go.
That's so crazy because there's not another sport out there that lets you leave the facility. That must just be like a hockey thing, and then if you change it, everybody gets mad at you.
Probably. I mean,
because it's not school grounds, right? It's not school grounds because ice rinks aren't on school.
Typically not. Now there are some schools that have them on school grounds, but ours is not. And so I know people do leave and go do that.
I mean,
I will not name names, but
no, but they shouldn't anymore. We're past that in society.
You'd think. But so I do think that adds to the atmosphere on hockey being a little bit more aggressive. You got people who are a little bit more amped up and they're a little intoxicated. And so that leads to some issues, right? Tempers start to flare, things start to happen.
Yeah, speaking of, before Sam gets back on, we get back on hockey. We played a game today and it went sideways, right? I mean, we played 15 minutes of soccer and we had 8 shots on goal. Now we missed all 8 and their goalie had some great saves. But then, it was 14-0 at the end of the day. And there was one parent for the Milwaukee team that just wasn't having it. I mean, he was chirping about everything until his wife showed up. It was so great. His wife came over and leaned in his ear and like chewed him out. And he just sat there. And then she went and sat like 2 chairs down and he chirped again. And she gave him the look of death. It's so great.
It was pretty funny.
It was
Not that we've
so
ever been
dumb.
there.
No. I mean, yelled at, yes. Paid attention to it, no. But
You know,
man,
you said sideways. You said sideways. I don't even think it went there. It went straight down. It was ugly. I was telling you, and I told Sarah when I got home. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a game at this level where that had less effort. I mean, it was actually kind of sad. It just it wasn't representative of the league. It wasn't representative of what soccer should be or what anything at this level should be. I mean, it's just I was very disappointed. It's one of those things. It's like,
yeah.
boy, did we lose everything over on the other side too? Because I still see Sam on our Facebook stream, and I don't see him here.
I'm watching the live stream, and it's just me and you. Oh,
No, I got it.
it's there. For the love of God, where do you live? In the woods?
Evidently. Sorry, boys.
Did you switch your phone?
Yeah, no, this old computer's probably got a lot of naughty movies on there for my sons, if you know what I'm saying.
Is it a
Unbelievable.
Commodore 64 with a floppy disk, or what are we doing?
Very likely. Very likely. No, it's worked pretty
Toby.
good, but it's gummed up with God knows what. So I'm back.
I think Toby's used to working with a floppy disk for his computer.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to guess as to what's going on at your house, man.
Don't worry about my house. This isn't about me, sir. No, we were talking. We had a soccer game today, and it was a team out of Milwaukee. It was the worst effort we've ever seen. We beat them 14-0, and we could have beat them by 20. And
So-
we're not playing rec soccer, right? I mean, we are at a high level, and it was bad.
Yeah, it was really bad.
They just showed up with bad skills and you guys smoked them, or coaching, or what?
Well, I think what part of it is it's their B team. Yeah, I mean, part of it's their B team. They have a lot of players, and I think they just decided to send up B team. That's my first observation. Toby, add to it.
Yeah, and the effort wasn't there. I mean, we had one girl take a soccer ball and run like 70 yards without getting even challenged, and just kick it in the bottom, like in the back of the net. So.
And she barely moved. She barely weaved. I mean, she was just like right down the middle of the field and just scored.
And this is a level of soccer where you're paying for this and travel's expensive, and there's,
Oh yeah. I mean, we travel within the region. I mean, they're playing teams from all over. It's
when you
not
see teams like
yeah.
that, it baffles the mind.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And that's where my wife was like, there should almost be a rule where it's like if you're going to send teams like that. We were looking at how they've been scoring against everyone in the league, and I don't even think Joe said they scored a goal yet. The best they've done is 5-0. So
What
it's
part
like
of Milwaukee were they from?
That's the wave. South
Wherever that is.
Central.
South Central Milwaukee.
No, it's a really good club. They have
The wrong
It
side.
is.
yeah, and they have another team that supposedly we'll see on next Sunday for State Cup. That is the GA, which is girls and soccer's so bad that it's every year they add like a new club. Like last year we were Club V Club, and now we're E64, and then you go GA. Oh, Joe said they're from Waukesha. So, what does that tell you, Sam?
Yeah, well, Waukesha. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, it was just not a good effort, and I think it snowballed very quickly. There was also a point late in the game where we had a player literally jogging. I mean, she must have been going 50%, and she was still beating them down the field. And I'm like, I don't know. At that point, I don't even know what you do if you're. My daughter said that they said that really tone the effort down at halftime, and it's like, I don't know. That's just not the type of soccer you should be playing at this level when you're supposed to be developing girls for the potential college or the next level, and you're telling them at halftime to tone their effort back so we don't throttle the other team. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous.
Good.
That's not good.
Yeah.
No, we battled.
One thing. Go ahead.
Well, I coached a lot of football, and a lot of that generation came out of the everybody gets a trophy situation. And the coddling and the not being pushed hard enough, and then why don't I get to play as much as Johnny, who's twice as good? And there's that balance of getting them on the field and getting them to play, but then moving them up so that they challenge themselves and work harder, because you don't want kids that are just feeling like they have to be there or mommy's making them go. Or and there's
Right.
a level, it sounds like you guys are at, where you kind of weed out the kids that are just being forced to play, and that this is a choice they're making as well, because it's nothing worse than having a kid that's being forced to be there by their parents, or they're living there, parents are living vicariously through them. That's the worst.
Correct.
So yeah, it's a whole world out there with all that. It's, seeing coaches that are quality and really see how to coach the game the right way, and then kids that get it.
Yeah.
It's dealing with a whole new generation of kids, right? I know, Toby, your kids are perfect, but mine are.
Speaking of kids, I had 2 daughters, and Sam early on in my parenting career would make fun of me because he had 2 sons, and then lo and behold, Sam had a
Yeah, I went by the
daughter.
goalie. Yeah. She's the only one that's going to take care of me when I get old, though. So Harlow's 8, going to be 9. She has absolutely no fear of boys. She's swinging from her shoulders at their nuts on a regular basis. But she's not sporty yet, which we tried like hell to get her to play some basketball and try to get her to play some hockey. She has no interest in any of that at this point, but she's 8, so that could change.
We have a topic here in a little bit that we're going to discuss at the end of the show that you will enjoy, because it will involve you in 6 years.
Good boy.
But I wanted to go back and kind of explain how we met. We both transferred into UW Milwaukee, correct? I mean, you didn't start. You started.
Yeah, no, I played football and baseball at Concordia my freshman year.
And you got thrown out, right? You were asked to leave.
Evidently, there's a religion going on at that college. So yeah, the football dream ended, and I transferred to UWM, and still trying to be fit down in the weight room, and they plucked me to play rugby. Because didn't
you miss our first game?
That was the jail thing, wasn't it?
Okay, you gotta.
I gotta be honest. So we play a game, and I had it. I don't know many people because I also transferred it. And we're playing, and we're like, all right, well, I don't know, we probably lost because we weren't very good back then. But I'm trying to see Sam, like, because we have in rugby, you have a game, and then you invite the other team to your home bar, and you have a party. So whoever it is, you're like, all right, our bar after, and you could be 18, you could be 30. It's like, just come and drink beer at our bar.
Yeah, you
So
host.
Austin-
You beat the crap out of each other, and then you host them.
Right. And you go arm in arm with them and drink beer with them. So it's kind of a cool sport. But I just saw Sam walks up in his street clothes, and I'm like, hey, thanks for the effort today, right? Like a little help. And he's like, well, I gotta tell you, I was in jail last night.
Whoops. No, UWM was a lot of fun. I told that cop to go pound. I was just peeing outside a party, and I thought it was a buddy yelling at me from the street, and it wasn't. And I was peeing my name on the side of some house, and he said something, and I dropped an F-bomb at him, and I thought it was my buddy, and it wasn't. And he said, "What'd you say?" And I said, "You heard what I said. F you." Well, shortly thereafter, I was wearing the bracelets. And,
Ooh.
Yeah. So I didn't make that game.
That's not indecent exposure, is it?
I don't know what it was. I think it was public intoxication. Is what it was.
Okay, that's good, because I've heard the other one can kind of get weird when they can, which can put you on lists and stuff like that, which is not good.
Yeah. No, you don't want to show your parts in public if you can.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we got a
that's
couple of those. My
That's
favorite
our-
Toby story. So if we're gonna drop stories, my favorite Toby story of all time. So we go up to Stevens Point, and we're playing in their version of Winterfest. And it's on the ice, and there's this bar out in the middle of nowhere. And
Jeremy's from Stevens Point, so he's heard of Arctic Fest and
So I don't know the name of that bar. It was out in
Rusty's.
Rusty's, yes.
Rusty's.
So
Good place.
we go up, and we got like 8 guys in a hotel room, and we go hard all night. And I think we got kicked out of the tournament for fighting our own selves, actually. That was the kind of team we were. Well, it's the morning. There's pizza boxes all over the floor. You can't move. It just smells like one big fart in this room. And I got to go to the bathroom. And the door's closed and the shower's running. And I'm like, Toby's in there. I'm like, hey, man, come on. Nothing. Silence. And then, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go in and pee. He's doing the thing in the shower. So I go in and I'm peeing. And, when someone's in the shower, you can hear the water being splashed and moved around. And it's just this running faucet noise. Like there's nothing, right? And I'm like, is there anybody even in there? So I still see a therapist for this because I lean the curtain back. And big boy there is laying in the bottom of the tub, buck naked, with the shower just running on him. To recover from the night before. And I saw that with these eyes, and I want to take a pencil and just jam it in there. True story. So, yeah.
So
Wow.
we go from there to the fields, right? And we each had driven our own cars up.
Yeah.
And I had to move Sam's car or something. And I remember turning it on and moving it, and then I turned it off, and I locked his keys in his car. And he's like, where are my keys? And I'm like, I don't know. So we go there hanging in his car, and he's like, well, what am I going to do? And I'm like,
see ya.
I got no idea, but I got to get going. I ain't right out of town.
Which also reminds me of the time when you say, hey, man, could you give me a ride to the airport in my car? Because you don't have to use gas. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So we jump in his crappy car. I think you called it the Missile, right? So we get in the car. We drive down.
Something terrible.
Like a Cutlass, something, yeah. We
Ooh.
go down Locust, and we're getting on the highway to go south of the airport at Locust. And as we're going down the ramp to the expressway, all the lights on the dashboard go off. Just,
No big deal.
Kind of glides to a stop. And Toby was one of the first guys I ever knew that had a cell phone. His dad and mom's company allowed him to get a cell phone. So he had a cell phone. So he's like,
Wow.
I'll call AAA. So he calls AAA. AAA says they'll be there in 20 minutes. And he says, I'm going to miss my flight. He calls a cab. He's like, AAA's coming. You just ride back with the car, and you're right as rain. And I'm like, I'm standing on the Locust ramp in Milwaukee, downshoot on the expressway by myself. Cab pulls up, picks him up. He whisks away. I'm waiting with his shitty car. The guy that shows up is this record driver, it's a cartoon. Because this guy has the most ridiculous stutter problem you've ever heard in your whole life. And he's like, you can't get words out. And he's trying to talk. And I'm just like, am I being punked? Is this some kind of like looking around, like thinking I'm just on some candid video or something? So he gets this thing hooked up, and we're driving back, and he's calling back to base, and he's like, and I'm sitting next to him like, there's no way this is really happening. No one could ever appreciate how bad that was. And then he dropped me off. It was like 2 blocks from where I lived, and I went home and drank a lot of booze that night. And you went to Vegas.
I did go to Vegas, and I appreciate you taking me.
You are something else.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, those are 2 stories I haven't heard before.
No,
there's
there's
more.
many more that we're going to keep in the vault. If Sam's parents might be listening, it's just for the better.
Yeah. No. Nobody died. We got through college. We're on this side of life now, just looking back, like, how did we get away with it, I guess, is the best thing. So.
And, I look back, and now my kids are 18 and 15, and I'm waiting for beer parties, and they don't do anything like that today, and that's fantastic. It's really great.
I feel like there's a spring waiting to be unleashed because these kids are watched so closely now. Life 360 and Ring cameras and, FaceTime. Like, where are you at right now? Because if my parents knew where I was at all the time, not good.
Jeremy, do you have that? Do you guys do Life 360?
So we do have it. We've gotten it now about 3 weeks ago, and I hated it. I still do hate it. I don't really care. And half the time, I'll ask my son, like, "Hey, where are you at?" And he's like, "You can look." And I'm like, but I don't care half the time. I just need to know if you're gonna come home and like be able to watch one of the kids while I leave, right? Or like normally I don't track him, and now he thinks that we track him all the time and we're constantly monitoring him. I'm like, dude, I really don't look that often. I just want to make sure you're not like dead in a ditch somewhere. Like if all of a sudden he doesn't show up sometime, then I'll be like, oh, where's he at? But yeah, we have it. I'm not a big fan, honestly. I don't really care for it. I like Sam said, I grew up in a time where my mom was like, hey, if you're gonna come home after 11, just make sure you let me know. So then I know that you're gonna be later. I mean, it's like I don't come from a time where like everybody knew where you needed to be. You just were trusted to make sure that you did what was necessary and like you didn't get in any trouble. So no, I don't. We have it. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not a big fan of tracking kids.
Now, my wife has it with my daughters. I I I don't go anywhere crazy, so it's just better that nobody knows what I do and that I'm home on the couch during the workday.
Toby, you're at Titletown again?
That which brings up one thing. There's a bar in Wausau. This is one of the cleverest bar names I've ever seen. The bar name is The Office. So you can be like, "Hey, I'm at the office." And if you were on 360 and say you're at the office. Pretty
It's
clever.
like the
Well, we
library
have-
across, right?
We've been in the library in the cross.
Yes, we
I
have.
fell down the stairs.
Yeah,
Not
shocking.
my fault. I think I was pushed.
Right.
Well, then there's a bar. There's a bar called The Office right down from our indoor practice facility, Jeremy.
Oh, really?
Just I drive by it. Yeah, I drive by it.
Mhm.
And-
Sure.
but
We first got that Life 360. My son was dating a girl, and he didn't get it and understand what was going on with that. And we pull it up, and my wife's like, "Where is he?" And I look at the map, and I'm like, "That's the water tower." So then he got home that night. I'm like, "Hey, how was your date?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was good." I'm like, "Where'd you guys go?" And he kind of listed off a couple places, and I'm like, well, your mom pulled up the thing and showed you were kind of at the water tower. He turns like 14 different colors, shades of red. He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Hey, man, just be careful." So, totally busted.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's probably one of the things I worry about is that I'm going to have this difficult conversation based on what I saw. And then it's like, yeah, I was stalking you. And now we got to talk.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to open up the can of worms that I don't need to know about because
Right.
kids are going to be kids. I mean, they need to have experiences. They need to make mistakes. And hopefully not big ones, but failure and mistakes are wonderful teachers. I mean,
Yep.
you got to
Agreed.
learn by doing sometimes. And sometimes that's fighting. Sometimes that's, clawing and scratching to get through life. So
Mhm.
the statement I use with my son all the time is that those who are given everything achieve nothing. So you got to work for it.
Yep.
So
That is very true.
you just get real on this thing.
I don't know
Wow.
Well, we have one topic left that I said, Sam, down the road you will be involved in, but you do
Oh.
you do have the Facebook and you do see homecoming pictures and you do see as someone with daughters, you see the dresses of the
Oh my
friends and
Lanta. Oh my
what
Lanta.
in the hell?
What in the
What
HE double
happened?
hockey sticks?
Right?
I mean,
When I went to school, there was
there
like a gym suit wrists and around the ankles and like it was
are
no
not
go.
enough pleats in the pants to hide what will be going on in my downstairs if I was in high school, junior high, going to dances. Like, come on, baby. My middle son was at homecoming with a friend. They didn't go with a girl he was dating. They're just friends. But they did the picture thing, and we've got a real popular spot here in town that everybody goes. The Covered Bridge is the old, venue, and it's by this little creek, and it's very pretty. So there's multiple groups of people taking pictures for their kids. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, looking around. I'm like, good night. Like,
Right?
unbelievable. Like, painted on. And, like,
Yeah.
you can't bend over at all, and stuff's coming out and popping off.
They can barely move. I don't even know how it's comfortable.
Yeah. I've got a good friend who's the superintendent. My golf partner is the superintendent of Grafton schools. And so, we joke and talk and play golf. And And I was like, we made this same conversation, like where this is at. Because when I was in high school, I mean, it was like something out of like Laura Ingalls, long dress from like The Call of the Wild or whatever show that was, Little House on the Prairie. He like the hand at your side with your finger length, your skirt has to be at least that long.
Yeah.
Being a rule, and how do you enforce that? And who's the guy walking around with a girl like with a ruler, checking that? It's
A balloon in between the kids at the
Yeah.
Catholic school I went to. Yeah.
leave some room for Jesus. So
Yeah, that was true. They used to say that at my high school, and my high school was a very conservative Christian. You actually had to have the dress below the knees. It had to go an inch below the knees.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
I-
what I was seeing. No.
That's the other day.
These
We
barely
can't
go
stop
in-
it.
Yeah, these barely go an inch below the crotch. I mean, if that, it's unbelievable. They're belts. They're like modified belts. That's all they are. They're
Yeah.
just a little bit wider.
Yeah. No, it's
Not
good.
good.
There's like a Keenan Peele skit that needs to be done on this that would be appropriate. I keep joking, like, so I just turned 49 2 days ago. My daughter is going to be 9 in November, and I joke that I'll be 58 when she's 18, and I'm just praying for early onset Alzheimer's, so I really don't have to deal with any of it because no, thank you. I would rather.
Oh, right. And we all like 10 dresses come to the house, and I'm just like, let's get them back. Because otherwise they sit in the closet. And then you don't really pay attention. And then all of a sudden it's time for them to go out. And you're like, what in the hell are we wearing? Like everybody's wearing that. And I'm like,
Where's the rest?
great. Like, what did we pay for?
Yeah, they told me that too. Everybody's wearing this. I'm like, you're not. It's not happening because my daughter had the longest one. Now, granted, it was still above the knees, but at least it got a little lower. I fought for those 2 or 3 inches. God dang it, and I'm going to continue to fight for them.
You see these guys that'll, daughters that have taken it too far, and the dads that have the balls to like put on like the Daisy Duke shorts and like the half shirt and like go wandering out and be like, this is how you're gonna dress. This is how I'm gonna dress. 'Cause that would work.
Do you think you want to see me in Daisy Duke shorts, Sam?
I think that if your daughter's doing that, it would curtail how they dress because you'd be like, every time you do it, I'm gonna do it. You can play that game.
I think we should do that for the show, though, Toby. I think you should be in a short miniskirt.
Some sort of halter top. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I think we should.
That guy in a little shirt.
But it's unreal, man. And I'll tell you what, Sam, so you know what I have to do. I'm actually in charge of yearbook at SPASH, the high school here.
Oh, boy.
And so right now what I'm going to be curating is the homecoming page, which is all the festivities and now the dance. It is without fail, every dance, I have to go through the pictures first and make sure that, nobody's undergarments are exposed in the yearbook. And I have to delete all those pictures and make sure that they're all gone because inevitably I have to then open those pictures up to the students. Lord knows what could happen if all of a sudden one of those, gets screen grabbed. And so then I feel like just a total creep because I have to go through here and I'm like, delete on my school computer, like trying to get rid of this stuff as fast as humanly possible. Because we're just out there just snapping pictures. And a lot of times these people don't realize how their like skirts are working up. And it's unreal. It's a really uncomfortable situation. You feel like it's bad. I don't like it at all.
I have more
I would love
my phone, than my parents ever looked at me. And the things you can catch with these cameras now, because you take so many pictures, you don't even, there's no accountability. Like waiting to take a good picture because you have actual film and you're going to blow through the 36 pictures quickly, and you're waiting for the best shot. You're just fire, and then you go back and you're looking.
Yeah, they're just holding down the button.
You catch them and you're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, no, it's bad, and I swear I delete so many pictures. I just am going through like just get rid of this stuff. I don't like it at all, man. I want the dresses to be touching ankles at this point.
Well,
Just that-
the mom jeans did come back. We are seeing the mom jeans and the
which is
Snow Lawn.
amazing to me.
Yeah, and those are awful, but I'd rather see that than other things. So bell bottoms
Amen.
and, yeah. I mean, they had like the double laces and the LA Gears, and it was the college sweatshirts, and you didn't even know if your girlfriend had an attractive body. You had to get lucky.
No.
Like her face is okay. Let's find out. I don't know. What are you hiding under there? So
COVID changed all that. You knew exactly what the body was. You had no idea what the face was.
right. You had sparkly eyes. It was your time.
Anyways, that's terrible. But
No, thank you.
yeah, this is the craziness the world we live in right now. It's unbelievable.
I'm just glad that Toby and I didn't have to grow up in a time when the men were expected to wear skinny jeans, because that would have been just awful.
I don't know. I mean, I got it. I mean, legs like mine should be shown. My issue is I can get the skinny jeans on it, just muffin top over the top kind of
You ever
fails.
see the picture of like the Boston Terrier that's like standing on his hind legs and like going up at something, and so they got those little itty bitty legs, and like this is what men look like in skinny jeans. You have to really realize that.
Right. Oh, hey,
There's
go ahead.
Toby. There's a good video by Will Ferrell. He's on Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon. You can Google tight pants. It's very good. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's yes, isn't it with Justin Timberlake? I got my tight pants on.
Yeah, I think so, something like that. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, Google it. It's a good time. You'll enjoy
Val
it.
think,
Kilmer in it?
One of your future podcasts should be like a tour of Toby's closet. That might be fun.
Oof.
Look at all your horizontal striped shirts.
Vertical make you look chubby. You know that. I get those at Kohl's.
You got those Hagar stretchy pants?
That's good stuff.
No.
He does.
Yeah, you do.
Anything else about hockey or Henry that you
Yeah.
gotta let me know when he's playing, because I'm gonna come watch a game with you. I'll
Yeah.
drive over to Rapids.
So he gets looked at here early November, and he's training with the team. He's running stairs and he's working out, and we're hoping to see him on the ice in December, and then he'll play through March. And it's the end of the season will be the telltale sign. The goalies on the team they're fine goalies. Size-wise, Henry's larger than all of them, and so half of that position is being big, and he can move. He's got more athletic ability in his pinky than I have in my whole body, but we're just gonna wait and see, and as this develops, we'll keep in touch with you, and yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, there's 4 goalies on the team. Let's trash the other 3. What's wrong with them?
Well, and it's not even that they lost their first game. Here you go. So we put 70 shots on the team we were playing, and we scored. We came back and tied it up, but they put only 24 shots on our goalie, and they scored 4 goals. So the game ended 4-4 tie. We lost in the shootout in the first game. Second game, the goalie put up a shutout, and they started a different goalie. And then the third game, we were gone. I don't even know the score of that one. And then last night they won 3-1. So, I'm obviously crazy biased because my son is, who he is. And so when you watch these other goalies, my critique of them is just some of their moves are not as sharp as Henry's might be, and because of his size and ability, and sometimes how a goalie takes on a skater. Some goalies like to retreat back into the net, and if you go out at it,
right,
cut down those angles.
Yeah.
It's technique stuff. So
yeah,
I think he's got a bit of chance to start for this team when he gets going here. So,
well, that's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I see they play a lot on the road. They don't have a ton at the Southwood County Rec Center.
They play their first home game is not till November 9th or 11th or something like that. They have 18 home games. So we'll see some games. They go out to New Jersey, which is crazy. That's a big trip.
That is nuts.
Do you drive?
Yeah, everything's by bus.
Oh.
So gotta learn how to play euchre. So
That's
learn how to do a lot of things.
Long bus ride.
Right. Totally.
good for them. They're
Yeah.
young and
Bunch of that
crazy,
sugar
you know.
stuff up your nose, and here, do this 5-hour energy in your nose. Let's see what happens. So we've all taken those bus trips.
Yeah,
Honestly, I remember in
rugby,
high school, those are fun. Those are fun bus trips. So
in rugby we drove ourselves.
We did, which was bananas.
Were you with me in the back of Keith Terry's Volkswagen van on the way to Platteville and we drank a case of warm, like Rhinelander beer? Oh, it's fantastic.
I still see Keith every once in a while. He's a great
We'll
guy.
say hi. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny
You know,
though,
it's-
as you grow up with kids though, like I was never a soccer guy. Soccer and me just didn't get along. And now that my daughter plays soccer and tennis, I'm completely entrenched in the knowledge, like trying to learn the game. And me and Jeremy broadcast our daughter's soccer games all the time. Now we talk dumb, and I threatened somebody today on air. I not smart. Jeremy slapped me. Jeremy assaulted me today.
Permission to
might have.
touch.
No permission to touch, Sam. He did not have permission. But
he did
You
not
know, like-
consent.
but even you in hockey, right? You weren't a hockey guy growing up. I mean, you watched it and you knew about it, but now you learn pipe to pipe, and you learn, the
Oh,
like
the
you were
lingo,
just
yeah. Bar down.
explaining the bringing the guy down and how you walk him in, and it's just funny how we live. We're like my dad. You playing baseball today? Good luck, kid. And then I got to ride my bike to the
Right.
park.
We're super immersed in it. You're right. I think tech has gotten a lot to do with that and constant communication, and it has become, it's so in your face. You can't get away from it. There's an app for it. There's constant tracking of stats. There's, we can watch replays left and right. We had VHS tapes on your shoulder that your dad had to take a video, and then you had to go home and like put it in and stop it at the right spot. And maybe they had a beta to actually watch a highlight was a task in and of itself. Whereas you can be like, oh, I got it in my pocket. Here,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
It's just a whole new thing. So,
Yeah. Access to hundreds of hours of whatever. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. I remember going to my high school football coach's office and seeing just the racks of film that were from years past. And
8mm.
yeah, bananas. My dad actually got a hold of all of the local radio broadcasts of his games for high school from when he was young.
Oh my gosh.
They had real good teams, but those guys are doing play-by-play. They sound like Howard Cosell, and you hear your name from when you were 18, scoring touchdowns. He went to Guilford High School in Rockford, Illinois, and he got them all. And he listens to them in the car. He listens to his old high school football games in the car, which is
That's cool.
the coolest thing.
That is really cool.
Nostalgic. So
Huh.
I could listen to my football games. My name wasn't announced a lot. Hidden talent.
and guard and tackle, and the guard of the bench, and the
I was,
guard at the end of the bench, tackle anybody comes
Yeah.
out of the water.
I was left out.
Left out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. We
Yeah,
pushed
man.
an hour,
It's fun.
hour and 3 minutes. I mean, these things go by fast, and we appreciate the insight on the hockey because we talk so much soccer. So it's fun to. We've tried wrestling and now hockey. We've had lacrosse coaches. So yeah, we appreciate you coming on.
Anytime, man. Be happy to come back.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Well, you hang on here.
I didn't say you were coming back.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Just
You
hang
know
on
this
here.
one.
Don't,
Yes.
yeah, don't hang up though, because this thing needs to upload as soon as we're done. So
Yeah, let me know when Henry gets on the ice.
I will.
Right in Jeremy's backyard. I'll entice him over. He's got an ice cream truck too. You can bring it
Oh,
over to
perfect.
sell ice cream. Yeah.
yeah, in February that'll go over well.
Yeah.
Real
Right.
quick, when you lost contact, we were talking about how hockey. Do you still leave the ice rink at period and then come back in? So you can go have a beer and come back
Oh,
in.
that's all they do. Yeah. Yeah. The
I think
one
that
that
just
the
blows
one
my
that's the
mind.
best, there's one in Wanakee where there's a brewery like next door.
Yeah.
And so you walk.
Yes. Yep.
And you walk over there and get cocktails, and then you come back. And we always did it in the parking lot, and we got in trouble from the AD. He called the Mequon police to come, and it's all adults out there. The hockey rink is the local rink. It's not part of the high school. It's not owned by the high school, but it's a high school event. And he got all squirrely about that. We're like, you know what? I'm 47 years old or whatever at the time. I'm like, I don't need to be carted by a cop in the parking lot. And they're like, they had a rule at this rink where we can do that, but they don't. And, it's counterculture stuff with hockey that you would go get a cocktail between periods and talk smart. And, that's how everybody does it. And so that got poo-pooed. That AD just, everybody's like, go pound. But at every rink, everywhere you go, that's what happens.
And there's all these
I
crazy
see.
fights. So weird.
Correlates like Legos.
See, I'm the AD at the hockey games, so I don't even go out into the parking lot. I manage
You gotta
what's
go
in front of
nuts.
me.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's
Yeah.
happening outside the walls.
Didn't see that. Yeah.
Everybody's in a small padded room in the back of the ice rink. Just no problem here. Nothing. Everything's good.
This is great. No, I make sure the kids are good, and that's my job. So the kids are good, and I'm good. Yep. So.
Safe. I mean, if it's kids doing it, then they need to get busted. They're kids.
Oh, that's a totally different story. Yeah. So perfect. Well, thank you, Sam. It was a good
Hey,
time.
boys, have a great night.
All right, hold
All right,
tight.
just
Don't
hang